listening to Tales of the Forsaken, a live play fake board game by Noble Jester Productions.
I've spent so many cycles chasing Hestian to get the chalice. Now that he's gone, am I closer to ending this curse, or did I just kill my best hope of breaking it?
So, Verboden, you are in Dragon's Refuge with Cloud Chaser and O'Chain. You defeated Hestian, you got back the chalice, and it's been a couple of days of just spending time here. Cloud Chaser's group of essentially his allies and his dragons have been filtering in as they received word that this has kind of been, set up as essentially the leadership hub. For now. And so you've got yourself, Cloud Chaser, and about 24 of his dragons that he had assembled here. And then there's just, normal villagers and people that live in this town. As you've been staying here, you've come to find out it's a mining town. And, the holes in the cliff and things are tunnels, and they've been mining, the mineral that turns into enacting and shipping that off to be processed. It kind of turns out the Haven has their own processing of enacting, and, that is kind of stockpiled and used for various things. So you have these dragons here. I know you had talked about a plan of using the treasure that you had spread out amongst the different villages to try to ambush dragons. Is that what you want to do, or is there something else you want to do now?
Well, if you said it's been a couple days, is that like running up with when I told Dror I'd be meeting him?
Yeah, you're past that.
Oh, okay. It's already come and gone?
Yeah.
Okay.
That third day was the day that you had to flee from Beacon of Hope.
Beacon of Hope, yeah.
And then you came here, and, that took, I think, about a day and a half of travel to get here. So, yeah, you're past that point.
Okay. Sounds good. So, yeah, I think that would still be the plan, because thinning out their numbers is going to be good. We're not going to be able to, at this point, I don't think, try to just have an all-out battle. I think that would be pretty heavy losses. So, I think with some of the distance between Beacon of Hope and these outlying cities, there's probably still some of this fortune in transit. So, if I can get close enough, I think trying to watch one of those with maybe a couple of Cloud Chaser's group to go with me, we could potentially try to take one or two out if we see them.
Okay. Are you gonna split the group up, amongst the different villages to try to ambush more than one, or are you just gonna kind of focus your efforts for now?
If they seem pretty capable, because I haven't really, up to this point, had a chance to really get to know his group at all. I mean, they are dragons, so there's, some inherent strength there. But do they seem like they're up to the task if we were to split up and a few of the other groups try to do it on their own?
They're definitely more of scholarly types. They haven't seen a lot of combat or anything like that. But except for dragons that, were around before the downfall of Heartfang, it's not real likely that any of the dragons, that are new since that point have seen much combat.
Okay, that makes sense.
So, yeah, I mean, you probably don't want to try to send one of these up against one of Heartfang's dragons, but in groups, 3 or 4 against one, they could probably hold their own.
Okay, well, I like that then. So let's maybe, since we've got about 24, let's keep half of that here as our main hub, and then split up the remaining dozen into, I would say, let's go 3 different strike groups. That feels like it gives them much better odds with a 4-on-1, even than a 3-on-1, in case there's, not one by itself. That gives them better chances.
Yeah, okay. Are you going to instruct them in case it isn't a dragon by itself? Are you going to give them just kind of leeway on making their own choice on how to handle that? Or are you going to just, tell them, hey, attack if there's one, don't attack if there's two, are you going to give them clear instructions or
Yeah,
let
that
them...
makes sense. Okay. Yeah, I would say singular dragon is the only time that they can attack. I think would make sense, because with us having such a small group, even losing one is, it's a big hit. So, yeah, that would be the plan. And then as soon as that one is defeated, they need to immediately come back here to Dragon's Refuge to be back with the others. To hopefully not have a quick retaliation, or basically don't stick around. Like, it happens, get back here with the rest.
Okay.
Yep. And then also, I'd say set a time limit. So let's go a day max. If you have no contact within a day, come back here. We're all reconvening here within a day.
Okay. At some point throughout those couple of days, probably as these dragons are arriving, Cloud Chaser would bring each one to you, and he would introduce them to you. They'd spend a couple of minutes, and you definitely get the same vibes from each one of these dragons as from Cloud Chaser, that they're excited to meet you. They view you and your story with a lot of reverence, but also a little bit of a scholarly eye towards it.
Okay.
They don't quite understand that this is a real story and that you are cursed and it's difficult. There's a lot of excitement and a lot of wow,
Very clinical. It's like,
Yeah.
A bunch of like medical students walking into a patient room on rounds and being like, oh, this is interesting. When you got someone
Exactly.
on the bed there who's really been through it. Okay.
Yeah. So it's probably a little tiring, having to meet all of them and absorb their excitement and their, endless questions about your life and your cycles and your experiences. But at the same time, this is a group of dragons, your own people, who are actually excited to meet you and agree with the choices you've made, and are excited for a new future, which is something that you've been pushing for a very long time.
Yeah, absolutely. I think with that being a really unique and cool thing for Verboden, I really would try to be as warm and welcoming, and really make a lot of effort into trying to answer as many questions that they have, in depth, even if it is an exhausting type of thing. But I think I would make a lot of effort to really try to connect with them as much as I could.
Okay. Well, in that case then, throughout this couple of days, you probably have not had much time to interact with the chalice, but you have it. Anything specific you want to do with it, or, interact with it in some way before going off on potentially attacking a dragon?
Actually, yeah. So I had a thought. Back in the first season, I know I used it with trying to reach out and find Asmodean.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I want to try to sit down and I want to do the same thing. Now, granted, with that, I opened up kind of a two-way street kind of thing. Do I feel like I can use the chalice to locate Heartfang or other dragons without them kind of being able to talk back? I'm not trying to talk to them. I'm just trying to see if I can get a sense of where they are.
Oh, interesting. So almost using it like a
radar.
Yeah. Let's go ahead and roll. Just probably will. Yeah, I think that makes the most sense.
Okay. So I would say with my stunt, right?
Yes.
Okay, so that would be a 4 total.
Okay. Yeah, so you spend some time trying to use it to locate other dragons, and you'd probably, kind of start small, trying to see if you can figure out where Cloud Chaser is in the village, things like that, and then start moving outwards. You are able to get a sense of kind of distant concentrations of dragons. In the southeast, I can sense a concentration of dragons, that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
You're not really able to pick out individual personalities until you feel yourself brush over Heartfang. And immediately you feel the chalice lock on to Heartfang. And you get a sense of where he is, what he's doing. And he's in Beacon of Hope. He's kind of curled around the top of this palace. And he's currently just picking out individual buildings in the city and idly burning them down from here, from the top of the palace.
Okay.
As it's, kind of focused on this, you suddenly feel him stop. And there's a sense that he feels like someone is watching him. Are you going to keep that open, or are you going to stop?
No, I'll stop it right there. Yeah.
All right. And you would definitely, just from your experiences and knowledge of Heartfang, he's not necessarily like, oh, this is the most incredible magic user or anything like that. He's very ancient, very powerful, and especially in the realm of fire, he's the most powerful, capable mage and dragon that you've ever encountered.
Okay.
And so you definitely have to be careful using the chalice to interact with him, because he's probably going to be able to tell that amount of magical energy focused on him.
Okay. Sounds good. Now, with the other dragons I was picking up in those different directions, could I sense any, with us looking for, potentially individual ones, any that I saw that were not with the rest?
Yes, actually. You would be able to tell that there are various groups of these dragons. Most of them are focused on Beacon of Hope, around where Heartfang is. But there's another concentration that's a little smaller, but maybe 30% the size of the ones that are at Beacon of Hope, more to the southwest. And then you got some kind of pings, so to speak, on the radar of more singular dragons flying out, whether that's sending messages or going and looking for this treasure. Yeah, it definitely seems like there's some movement in that, in that regard.
Okay. Well, then I would use that information for those groups and tell them approximately, where they should head to. So hopefully giving them a little bit better direction instead of just in general flying here, but hey, here's the areas where they're most likely to be. And then I definitely want to take one for myself.
Okay. All right. I thought for a minute you were going to say you were going to try to contact Asmodean again, and that was going to get real weird.
Right.
He's crazy right now. So.
Oh, I can imagine. And is he even able to be communicated with from the outside in?
I don't think I should answer that unless you want to actually try.
No, I guess we'll never know.
All right. So you go ahead and, you kind of work with Cloud Chaser, and, they bring you a map of the haven, and you're able to kind of, using what you had picked up from the chalice, you're able to kind of identify these smaller outlying villages that some of this treasure had been sent to, and okay, it seems like there's a dragon headed here. It seems like there was a dragon headed here. Mm-hmm. So you send out, essentially there's 3 other groups of 4, and then you have a group of 4 with you, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, and then you identify a target for yourself, and you head out.
Yeah.
All right. So in looking at this map, you had identified this small village. It's called Dragon's Peak, and it's up kind of in the mountains. It's another mining village, and you do know that you had sent some of the treasure there, and you fly, I'm assuming, or are you?
Yeah.
Are you guys traveling as humanoids or as dragons?
I think we're going to travel as dragons.
Okay.
Just get there quicker.
Yeah. All right, so you fly toward that village. Are you wanting to try to beat this dragon there? Or, I mean, is there a plan surrounding that? Or just kind of see what happens when you get there?
Okay, so we're going to... Do I feel like the dragon's coming from a different direction that we would be flying from?
Yes.
Okay, so...
You're essentially going to be flying straight west, and he's coming from the southeast.
Okay, so in that case, we'll fly up to, within maybe a mile of there, land, transform back, and then walk the rest of the way in, just to hopefully have some stealth going into that, and then, scope it out. If he's there, then we'll come up with a plan, or if he's not there, then obviously we come up with a different plan for trying to lay the trap.
All right, go ahead and let's just make a stealth check.
Okay. As a dragon?
Yes.
So that is...
Actually, no, I guess,
because
because you
we're
said
walking.
you were transformed.
Yeah, it's okay. So it's a 2 total.
So as you land and as you're trying to kind of stealth your way in, you hear some booms of thunder, and it starts to rain lightly. You can see the clouds gathering, and you are making your way into this village. You're kind of approaching it along the mountains from the side, so you're essentially walking along a cliff of some sort, and then you'll have to go down into this village. As you're moving along this cliff, you start to hear the beats of wings.
Okay, so I'd have everybody get down, take cover.
Okay. Yeah, it's not flying like directly over you, but you are watching and you can kind of see a dragon start to dip down out of the clouds and then back up into it, and then dip down and back up into it. And it is definitely approaching the village. It will probably get there before you, unless you decide to transform.
Okay, so here's what I'm thinking with having the chalice now. I feel like this kind of changes the rules a little bit. So I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to instruct the others to stay there and just provide me backup in case any other dragons are around that we're just not aware of. So I'm going to start making my way the opposite direction of him to try to get behind him, and then I'm going to transform and fly up into the cloud cover. And then from there, I'm going to focus with the chalice, and I want to try to create and essentially project an image of myself down in the village there while I'm maintaining myself and flying up on the cloud cover.
Okay. Image of yourself as a dragon?
As a dragon.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. What's your image doing in this village?
Essentially kind of like just walking around as if it's investigating the area.
Okay. So you fly up into the cloud cover, and I assume you're trying to, keep your stealth at this point. A few minutes pass, and your mirror image is wandering around the village, and then diving down out of the clouds, also trying to be stealthy, is a fairly large blue dragon that is dive bombing at your mirror image.
Okay, as soon as I see that, I'm going to try to come in and intersect from behind with it, hopefully staying focused on my image.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think with the nature of that, your stealth check that you've already rolled, yeah, I don't see any issues there.
Okay, awesome. That's what I'm going to do. With getting close enough, I am going to shoot flame at this dragon.
Okay. All right, so you come in from behind it, also kind of diving at it, and go ahead and shoot your flame.
Okay. That is a 5 total.
All right. He got a 3, so you definitely succeed there.
Okay.
All right, so as this, is it like a column of flame or a fireball? How are you?
This would be like a really focused, column of flame shooting at it, like a continued flame.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty much completely taken off guard, and your flame slams into its back. You can see kind of these scales on its back instantly charring and curling up, and its wings just pull in, and it just kind of starts to spiral down. Not like it's plummeting, like it's dead, but this is kind of a common defensive maneuver probably for these, for a dragon that's being attacked by something like this, and then it will flip itself over in midair, fling its wings out, just to kind of be a windbreak, and it's going to shoot a column of lightning back at you.
Okay.
Not great. That's a 3.
That is a 5 total.
All right. Well, he fails then, and you're up. So this electricity just, shoots up at you, and you dodge it, and you're up.
Okay.
So he's kind of, belly up towards you, wings spread out, quite a ways down below you still, but you could probably reach him if you wanted.
Okay. I feel like with his wings out, like that's a nice big target for shooting more flame at him, so I'm just going to shoot some more flame.
All right.
Yeah. 6 total.
All right, he got a 4. I'm going to have him go ahead, and we didn't really establish scene aspects here, but he's going to go ahead and use a fate point and use the storm. And so as you shoot this flame down at him, there's a kind of a responsive lightning bolt that comes down almost on the same channel that he shot up into the clouds, that slams back down towards him. He almost like uses the impact of it to roll to the side.
Okay.
And so he's gonna meet your 6 and dodge the fire.
Okay. Sounds good.
And then he's going to just straight dive down towards this town. And is your image still down there?
I think so, because I haven't utilized the chalice in another way, so I think it's still holding there.
He's gonna dive down and fire lightning almost like through your mirror image and into several buildings.
Okay.
It seems pretty clear that doesn't really believe in this illusion anymore.
Okay.
So it's more about disproving the illusion and destroying some buildings.
Okay.
So this, I'm gonna go ahead and roll for it. He's rolling pretty terribly. Switching to physical dice has not gone well for me or your enemies.
Well, let's keep it up.
So the lightning slams down, and you can just see this kind of large char mark along one of the streets in this town, and one of the buildings that it's been aiming for is halfway engulfed by this lightning, and there's just debris and smoke that's starting to rise up, and he dives down into it.
Okay. I think I will just pursue and fly. And do you think I could reach him?
Yeah, probably. I'm gonna go ahead and, that was basically a create an advantage action, so I'm just gonna go ahead and have it say that he created covering smoke.
Okay.
An aspect that he will have a free invoke of, and he is down in the middle of it. Yeah, and I think you could dive down and reach him.
Okay. Yeah, so I'm gonna go for that. I'm just gonna try to dive in and go in for just an attack with my talons.
Okay.
Rolling good. That's an 8.
That's a 3. So you definitely succeed with style. He is going to go ahead and use that free invoke of covering smoke to turn that into a 5, just to try not to completely die here. So that'll be 3 shifts, unless you want to do anything with that.
No, let's just keep that, and maybe I can make an advantage. What if the storm is kicking up, the wind's starting to blow, and the wind clears the smoke away where I can clearly see him pretty well. It's not going to obstruct me at all.
Yeah, that works. All right, yeah, so you slam into him, raking him with your claws, and the wind from the storm and from you falling so quickly just blows this smoke away. And he's just going to turn, and he's kind of under you. He's going to try to rip at you with his claws.
Okay.
That's a 6.
I rolled a 5, but I have because I succeeded with style. Do I still have something, or did I kind of use that by removing his? How do you want to play that?
I mean, he had already used his free invoke, so you removing the covering smoke aspect was really more of, flavor. So, I mean, that aspect doesn't exist anymore. But yeah, I'd say you still have a boost.
Okay, just kind of having the advantage over him coming down, all that. So, okay, so I'll use that boost, so that will bring that up to a 8 total.
Okay, yeah, he fails. He's not even touched you.
Yeah, Verboden. It's going to my head.
Yeah, definitely. Keep that up.
Right. That always goes well with the DM. I'm untouchable.
Suddenly, 5 more dragons.
Yeah.
You're up.
All right, so, yeah, with him missing, trying to, claw me, I'm just using my strength just to, push his arms out of the way, and I'm just going to go in for a bite down towards his neck.
Okay.
Not as good of a roll. That is a 6.
All right, he got an 8.
Oh, okay. I'm not going to do anything with that.
Or no, I'm sorry, that's a 7. But either way. So he kind of slithers out from under you, and you can see some of the scales on his neck start to kind of flare out, and almost like he's charging up, and he's going to shoot another blast of lightning at you. This is, he's real close to you. He's just letting loose here.
Okay.
And that's a 1.
Okay, well, I think I'm going to go with the will this time and try to absorb it with the chalice. So that would be a 6.
Okay. Yeah, he charges up this blast and just lets loose at you his absolute, most powerful shot that he has. And it stops, a couple inches in front of you and just absorbs through you and into the chalice. You're completely untouched. And you're close enough. You can see kind of fear and shock in his eyes. And you're up.
Yeah. What about we gather up a bunch of rain that's falling down, kind of mass together, and transform it into a big ice spear coming down out of the sky while I'm holding it there.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I like it.
Okay. Five total.
All right. You got a 4.
Okay. I think I'm going to spend a fate point, bump that up, and invoke Master of the Chalice.
All right. So this spike of ice comes hurling down out of the clouds and impales straight through his chest. And you can see, kind of convulsively scratching at it, trying to almost claw himself up and out of it, off of it. But as a spike does, it widens at the other end, and he's just tearing himself apart further, and after a few moments, he falls limp.
Okay. I'm going to scan, just make sure that he was in fact alone.
Okay. Yeah, you spend a moment, look around, and doesn't seem to be any other dragons.
Awesome. So I'll kind of motion for the rest of the party that they're free to come on down.
Okay. Yeah. So they eventually make their way down, and people in this town are pretty terrified, but after a little bit, they kind of start to come out of hiding, and the other dragons that are with you transform back into humanoids and are talking to them. It seems to be pretty well calmed down. Are you going to return to Dragon's Refuge, or are you going to stay here?
Yeah, I think we're going to stick with the original plans. I told everybody, like, hey, once you do this, let's all meet back up. So I'll do the same thing, and we'll head back there.
All right, you return. None of the other groups have returned yet. So if there's anything you want to do, you're welcome to, or we can wait for that.
So if it hasn't already been happening, there's that house that got destroyed when I fought Hestian. I want to try to help work on building that a little bit. In the meantime, while we're waiting on everybody to come back.
How are you working on it?
Why don't I see what's capable, or what the capability is of the chalice with trying to reconstruct this home.
Okay. Yeah. You go and you sit down, and you're not under like a time pressure here, so I'm not really going to make you roll for it.
Okay.
But probably spend a couple hours focused on this chalice, trying to figure out how to transform the energy into what you want. And apparently this thunder is rolling, overhead, and you're focused on this, and suddenly this wind starts to pick up, swirling around you, and there's some construction materials that have been gathered together that start to kind of be picked up by the wind and start to swirl. But then they get flung out away, and pieces of house start materializing around you and fitting into place and kind of swirling around you and then slamming into place, and nails are appearing and hammering in. It's like almost this kind of like whirlwind of construction that is just magically appearing around you, and you're very focused. And after a little bit, you open your eyes and you're sitting in the middle of a sitting room in a home that you have just recently constructed.
That's wild. Okay, that's awesome.
This chalice is very powerful.
Yeah. Do I feel like any sort of personal drain from any of this, or how do I feel?
You're probably a little bit tired from the, just the effort of concentrating and what you've just been through with killing this dragon and all that. But as you're channeling this act of creation, essentially, through this chalice, there's a sense of invigoration and just almost like a sense of rightness from this chalice that you haven't necessarily experienced before when using it. You've had several cycles where you've had magical abilities and, you've needed to use enacting to refresh those abilities and things. This doesn't feel anything like that. It feels like you've channeled an actual essence of creation, divinity even, through this chalice to make this happen.
So while this thing is incredibly powerful and capable, it in the act of creating something, it's like oh wow, that's like what it is meant to do.
You definitely have a new understanding of this chalice that mostly you've tried to use it for destruction.
Mm-hmm.
And this feels right almost for the first time.
Okay. That's good info.
Yeah. So eventually groups start to return, and they didn't do anywhere near as well as you, but, they're all still alive. There's some injuries, but they report complete success. Each group found and ambushed a single dragon, was able to capture it, kill it, and return, just leaving these dragon corpses around. But even that in of itself may be a good thing.
Yeah, that was part of it too.
So yeah, complete success. About half a day later, after everybody's returned, there's some commotion, and Munt and Amp have arrived.
Okay. And I haven't seen Amp for a long time, right?
Correct, yeah. Not since they escaped through the palace.
Okay. Yeah, so I'll go out and greet him. Moon, Amp. Oh, friends, good to see you.
Munt looks distraught. And he walks up to you, and he's kind of trying to keep himself together, but his voice is cracking, and he says, Verboden, Dror, he's dead.
Sorry to hear this news. How did it happen?
He had gathered together his rebel camps for, I guess, some sort of a strike, and Heartfang appeared, tore them apart. Dror stood up to him, I'm told, so that others could escape. Very few escaped.
This is devastating news. Where are the survivors? Did they find refuge somewhere?
The kin have scattered. As many as could escape from Beacon of Hope did. And the rebels that had been gathered, I've sent them off to recuperate and to attempt to raise up their own cells, and we're trying to decentralize the kin. Can't have a repeat of Heartfang showing up and slaughtering us.
Kind of just like scratching my head, a bit. And, well, we're setting up here with many of the dragon, and if you'd like to have some come here, we're happy to have them with us.
Yes, with Dror's death, our people need leadership in this time, and I've been a fool thinking that religion and social structures could save our people, and allowing Dror to fight alone. I need to find a way to build an actual army and teach the kin how to defend themselves. So yes, perhaps I will send some here. I'm going to be busy. I need to arrange them. I need to... He kind of just shakes his head and trails off for, in what he's saying.
Well, Moont, we really should fight together. We've seen some success here over the last day. My group and I have taken out 4 dragon. There's many more, but I think it is time for us to come together, and I don't know if what's left of the dragon kin are willing to fight with us, but I think we need to combine our forces and not do things individually.
I understand, but I don't think we can gather together in that way again, or Heartfang will be able to find us, and we aren't strong enough.
You can't give up hope. There's still a lot who are willing to fight for their lives and their freedom, and you're not alone.
Yes, and I'm sure your efforts here will be a great source of inspiration for the kin as we seek to... We're going to have to spread the news of your successes, and I know we've disagreed about my methods, but we'll have to talk about our defeats as well, if we are to inspire them to more than just coming together, but to actually be willing to learn and train and fight.
Well, that definitely has to happen quickly. Our enemy does not need the time to train. The more time we give him, the stronger they'll become, because many of these dragon haven't had a fight. So, I think time is now, and we have to do what we can quickly.
Well, the kin are scattered, are weak, so if you're going to act quickly, you may be alone.
can understand that. I'd hoped I'd have the Dragonkin standing beside us as we fought Hardfang and took part in that, but that is a devastating loss.
Amp steps forward and he nods at you. He says, Verboden, there's other news. You know, the portal that we spoke of?
Yes.
Unfortunately, I have located it, and it is not good news. Hardfang has established an encampment there. Quite a bit of defenses, a lot of dragons, and they appear to be actively using this portal with ectin and materials passing through it, and people coming out of it.
Kind of puts his head back in his hands again. This is definitely complicating things. Were you able to ascertain any intent or reasons why he might be doing this?
Appears to be collecting an army. The creatures coming out of this portal are... you familiar with half-elves and such here? These are, I assume, only the fabled elves. These must be like that. Of course, we don't have those here on Rillian, but there are many that are coming out of this portal.
Yeah, the elves have been gone for a long time. And it seems as though they're taking up to fight with him.
Perhaps. I sensed great magic within them, and it's not good news.
Not at all. Well, I think we should discuss this more, and hopefully you can provide me some more information and we can work together for a plan for this, but this is not what I was hoping to hear today.
No, it's not. I'm sure that your successes will go far, and perhaps that is a good way to proceed forward, but we will have to figure out how to deal with this army that Hardfang appears to be gathering, and I need to get in there and close that portal.
I do agree with you. Would have been one thing if it was just there and nothing passing between, but Hardfang gathering allies from without is not something we can allow to happen.
I agree. If you can get me to that portal, I believe I can close it.
I can get you there. Well, I'm real excited about the chalice. I mean, I knew it was powerful, but that revelation of... I mean, obviously it's named the Creator Chalice, so it's not like a huge surprise, but it just makes a lot of sense of like, oh, okay, that really broadens my understanding of like its purpose within Rillian, so that's cool.
Yeah, got some good lore, had some incredible success.
Mm-hmm.
Also some bad news, but
that is bad news, but it makes sense. So yeah, we'll deal with it.
in continuing mounting of possible guilt for Verboden, as he essentially threw Dror to Hardfang.
Yeah. That wasn't my original plan. Like, I kind of had hoped to, like, show up and lure him out, but other things happened, so... yeah, that sucks to lose him, but, I mean, this is war, unfortunately.
All right, well, thanks for listening, and we hope that you are enjoying it.